Valorant's 2026 kickoff just ended, and it was an exciting 4 weeks with a new triple elimination tournament format to decide the top 3 teams from each region. By the end, the number 1 teams of each region were underdogs that nobody saw coming, and also had some heartbreaking matches, leaving the 4th place teams just out of reach of Santiago. As a viewer and fan of Valorant, and sadly working a 9-to-5 marketing job, I was inspired to make a video around Valorant's top issue. It's one of the most crucial parts that most teams miss, and it's not about winning or getting sponsorships or even putting together the best roster. It's about branding. In fact, I made a whole script discussing how Valorant teams have a branding issue, just to have Sentinels come out and make the biggest branding mistake of the year. Sentinels is one of the most beloved and popular teams in Valorant, and it all started back in 2021 with Masters Reykjavik. Masters Reykjavik was the first ever international tournament, and Sentinels won without dropping a single map. And just to reiterate that, they didn't lose a single map. That meant going 2-0 across the board and eventually 3-0 in the grand finals. Masters Reykjavik also established TenZ as a golden child of Valorant. He had stepped away from Cloud9's active roster to focus on content creation, and then stepped in as a sub when Sentinel's star player was suspended just a week before the event. And he didn't just perform well, he performed as a statistical anomaly. He finished with a 289 ACS and a 1.48 KD. This solidified TenZ's status as a global Valorant icon, giving him a level of fame that persisted throughout his career and even after his retirement. And what Sentinels was able to do that almost no other Valorant team has done is being able to capitalize off of their success. If we compare Sentinels to other successful NA teams such as EG, who won champs in 2023, and NRG, who won champs in 2025, these other teams don't even come close to Sentinels' numbers on social media. They've established themselves as being a popular, content-based organization that wins. They're constantly uploading videos across all of their platforms and engaging with fans, including their CEO, who is very active in the scene. They found their brand as a successful clout organization, and they followed that throughout their roster iterations. For 2022 LCQ, they added Shroud, a household name in the gaming industry and well-renowned as one of the best aimers in FPS history. For the 2023 season, they added Saucy and Pincata after their champs win with Loud. Sentinels didn't just stop at building clout in their rosters. They also signed popular streamers and content creators such as Tarek and Asu. Both consistently pull in thousands of views per stream, and notably with Tarek garnering well over 10,000 concurrent viewers with his watch parties for VCT Internationals. However, what happens when a team builds their brand and fandom based off of their players' clout and being the most popular esports team? Unfortunately for Sentinels, it's just not sustainable. Because a brand is a unique combination of skills, experiences, and values that define how others perceive you. In this case with Valorant, their skills equals how well the team can shoot their guns or use util or IGL in mid-game. Experiences means time on various rosters, orgs, and games, and past experiences with international tournaments and tough matches. And finally, values means your work ethic and how they view teamwork and professionalism. Each player has their own individual personal brand, and a team has their brand at a macro level. For a team, it's not just who they have on their roster, but that does help, but also what fans and people in the industry think of when they hear a team's name. It's a promise to their fans that when they watch a specific team, they can expect a certain level of value, whether that's entertainment, or disciplined gameplay, or even W gaming. Your team's brand is how viewers can know what to expect from you. For example, if I asked you, what words would you use to describe Sentinel's identity? I would bet a lot of money that a good chunk of folks would say TenZ. The issue with having your team's brand so wrapped up with a player's popularity is that when the player eventually leaves, because nobody can play professionally forever, well, so does your team's identity. So at the end of their 2024 season, TenZ and Saucy both announced their retirement from professional Valorant. This brought huge question marks around Sentinel's roster. Who could they bring on that could match in terms of gameplay, but more importantly, popularity. Their answer was to bring on Narrate and Bang, both players who have shown they have the firepower to join Sentinels and fairly positive sentiment in the scene. In addition, with the 2024 Masters winning roster core of Zelsis, Zekken, and John QT, it seemed to be a promising roster. It still had enough clout from the older members, and the new members seemed to bring the necessary firepower. But their 2025 season was lackluster. Although they consistently placed high regionally, they could never win against a strong G2 and began losing to NRG by the end of Stage 2. In international tournaments, the highest they ever finished was 5th through 6th. And while qualifying for all 3 international tournaments would be seen as a win for the majority of teams, for Sentinels, this was a disappointment. Why? Because the Sentinels brand is based on clout and being popular and winning. Always losing in regionals and finishing low in international tournaments do not reinforce this. In fact, it's doing the opposite. It's telling viewers that Sentinels, the team that brands itself as always being a top contender for tournament wins, and that they'll do it with popular players, cannot deliver on that promise. And if you can't deliver on your brand's promise time and time again, at some point, people stop believing you. Their brand as the most popular esports team definitely helped them through a lackluster 2025, but by 2026, Sentinels had a lot to prove. For 2026, Sentinels announced a new roster. Sentinels Academy graduates Redux and Caillou joined as Flex Duelist and IGL Initiator. Former MIBR player Cortesia joined as a Senti, and Narrate swapped full-time to Duelist, while John QT remained as the only player from the Masters Madrid winning roster. The announcement of the 2026 roster was met with lukewarm reception. Rookies Redux and Caillou showed potential in Tier 2, but had yet to prove themselves in Tier 1, leaving many fans skeptical that they could fill the large shoes of Zekken and Zelsis. Cortesia was known as a vibey hype man in MIBR, keeping his teams in high spirits, but he was really never given the spotlight due to Aspas's gameplay and reputation. Narrate performed well in 2025, but in a completely different role. And while many fans still like and believed in John QT, the team decided to pass IGL over to Caillou, which only confused even more fans. And while they looked strong in the offseason, winning both the Sen City Classic and Sentinels Invitational, VCT Kickoff was a whole nother story. They bowed out in 9th through 10th place after a loss to Furia and 100 Thieves, ending their 4-tournament qualifying streak. This was a continuation of the disappointing 2025 season, but this time into an even more lackluster 2026. Their brand that had worked so well for them, that was built on popular players and winning and capitalizing on their early success, had now become their worst enemy. Why? Their brand comes with high expectations and a promise to fans that they're supporting the right team, the most popular team, the most clouded team. But when results are effectively showing the opposite, that actually the team they're supporting is struggling and losing against teams they previously stomped and can't even qualify for international tournaments, fans start to lose their loyalty and look for other teams that can provide better value. And most important of all, their brand just does not allow them the grace to have time for a rebuild. Coming into 2026, this roster needed time with a new IGL, 3 new team members, 2 of which being rookies, and the 2 tenured members in different roles than before. Unfortunately, fans and the team management pushed for results. Even though Sentinels management knew this was a rebuild and needed time, they kept pushing for results because they knew they couldn't afford a hit to their brand. And then they punished the team when they could not deliver by kicking out their coach and 2 of their team members. And now this hyper-engaged content machine that is Sentinel's bread and butter is turning against them. They posted a clip of Narrate after their loss, who was in a very vulnerable state and that should have stayed private, or at least discussed with him before releasing it publicly. Rob Moore, founder and CEO of Sentinels, went live on Tarek's stream to explain the roster moves, only to confirm they needed results faster than what they expected, and saying that they are keeping 2 of the newer members because they're basically, quote, his adopted son and their favorite player. Trust me, I made a transcript of their entire conversation. And what is this all doing? Building ill will among the players versus their management, building a new reputation that Sentinels will throw away any new players and coaches if they cannot deliver results within one stage, and that Sentinels is dictated by heavy favoritism, which I think we all already knew, but winning really glosses over this fact. As team management, you can definitely have your coach take accountability for their decisions. That's what Sentinels did with Kaplan. However, you do not need to go out airing all the dirty laundry and saying pretty damning stuff about your players and coaches on the internet for everyone to see. And for the sake of what? Content? For the fans? Well, newsflash, you can balance professionalism and transparency. It seems that in a high-stakes environment like esports, teams often forget that how you interact with each player, coach, analyst, and fans affect your brand. What type of content you put out affects your brand, and how you deal with winning, but more importantly, how you deal with losing affects your brand. And I want to reiterate that it's not any player's fault, nor do I hate Sentinels. In fact, I've always admired how engaged Sentinels are with their fans. They put out entertaining content and behind the scenes at a rate much faster than most other teams. Their management is also very smart and does a fantastic job at marketing by signing big names, hosting off-season tournaments, and being actively present in the VCT scene. Unfortunately, I think they got carried away by the momentum they received from their Masters Reykjavik win and never had to really think much about losing fans because they had popular players and were doing well. And at the end of the day, they lost sight of the bigger picture, that you need a brand that can withstand losing, because after all, there is only one winner every tournament. So good luck, and I hope Sentinels can turn it around for the rest of 2026.